Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Sheldon-Fell, and this is Moments of Hope, a show for the International Grief Institute where we feature people who turn pain into purpose and are doing great things in the world. And tonight's show is about the powerful healing modality known as laughter. And our guest is Carol Scibelli. Welcome to the show, Carol.
Oh, I'm on. Oh, good. Yes. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to see you.
Everybody's so articulate. I hope I don't get tongue-tied. It's really that. Oh, I just did. Look at that.
You're so funny. So just to give our viewers a little bit of your bio, you are an award-winning New York City playwright and comedian. You also, in 2015, were featured in The Secret of the Keys, a movie. And how cool was that?
I have never had such a cool experience in my life. I mean, maybe a couple of things, but I was in Vegas and I'm a degenerate gambler. And I I left the casino to be on set. It was a beautiful house they had rented for this movie. It was just gorgeous. I loved watching everybody. I loved everything about it. I loved being on. I didn't realize I was such a ham, but it was wonderful, wonderful experience. I was the key of, what was I? Oh, they wanted me to be the key of faith. I said, nah. They wanted me to be the key of compassion.
Compassion. Okay.
It was appreciation. Yes, that I could, because some of these keys I said, nah, I don't know, I'm not really that compassionate, but but it was a great experience.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're also very, very funny. I've seen you in action, and if I remember correctly, you taught the audience on what the Jewish word for a man's anatomical parts were.
Penis? Is that what you're trying to get to? Yes. Well, the audience kind of knew. You're the only one that didn't know. It's called I used to call it a schmeckel.
That's right.
It's funny. What I was saying was funny, saying a schmeckel, and you broke up. I know you thought it was great, but anyway, said, "What are you doing that? What are you saying, schmeckel?" Yeah.
I remember that clearly. Yeah.
Yes. Teacher Grace.
The audience was roaring. I think it might have been at my expense, but you were funny. So there we go. And so, Carol, you know humor, and it's been part of your life a very long time, but you also know pain. You lost your dearly beloved hubby, Jimmy, in 2006 after 30 years of marriage. What was that like?
3 years. The last 3 years were the best too, until he died. That's terrible. What was it like to lose? Oh God, it's so. A lot of your viewers have probably suffered some kind of loss, so they wouldn't be listening. It was pretty sudden, so that made it very shocking. I was sick from March 1st. Just about March 1st, was diagnosed with a very rare lymphoma, and he died on April 13th, 6 weeks later. And it was just so. And he had just turned 56. Just turned 56.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to
not only that young, but 6 weeks is very, very quickly to get this terminal diagnosis and then plan a funeral.
It was very hard to even catch my breath. We were high school sweethearts. We had 2 children. One was 25, one was 29, my son, my daughter. It was just, my little granddaughter was 2 weeks shy of being 2. So we were at a very good phase of our life. We were really enjoying just being a little bit older, but still young enough to lay on the floor and run around with our little girl, Skylar. It was tough. It was very hard. It was very hard. And I had a bet with him. I used to say all the time, people die near their birthday, a month before, a month after. So if your birthday is July, his birthday was March 14th, died April 13th. So the danger zones, right, for March 14th birthday is the month before, which is February, the month after, because you always hear, he would have been, she would have been, she just turned. So I actually thought this. I know sounds crazy, but I actually thought when he died on April 13th, just in time for me to be right, because his birthday was March 14th. And I said, wow, I guess I can't tell him I told you so. But,
I never thought about that, but it's so true. We do say she almost was, or he just turned, I'd never thought about that. So you took your pain and penned a memoir called Poor Widow Me.
Yes.
And in it, you talk about both the heart-wrenching moments as well as humor. You talked about, falling asleep on the closet floor, hugging his pants. You'd go into the closet,
yes,
and touch his clothes.
Right. Well, I actually thought, well, I didn't think he was there, but I thought he was somehow there. And his clothes, eventually I had a memorial quilt made of his pants and his shirts and all the things that I remembered him wearing. Yeah. And I gave one to my daughter, one to my son. I almost made one for myself, but I thought that might be a little tricky, having all his clothing on the couch. And if I ever met a new person who happened to be wearing the same shirt, it would be very, very peculiar. So I already have one made for my son and my daughter, so I can go over there. And cookie crumbs. One of the little pockets of his Dockers had cookie crumbs in it. So that was a little.
Really?
Yeah, it was very strange, very odd. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So did he ever hide any cookies in his pocket?
Apparently he did. He's one of these
He didn't want you to see him eating an extra cookie. Well, he was a really good chef, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a terrific cook, and he was, it made me look like when we had company, when we had holidays, everything was abundance. It was wonderful, wonderful. So, the holidays were hard. I remember one of the holidays, I had this huge Santa, and it was a couple of years after he had passed away, and I was bringing it up from the basement, and for just a moment, his face looked like a man that I could I almost kissed the Santa until his head fell off. Those huge things that you see. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The holidays are upon us once again, and they are very, very, very challenging. For some people, they're challenging for the rest of their life. And one of the things that I like to do, it's called the 12 Nights of Kindness, and I'll share about it more in a show a few weeks down the road. But it's basically going out and spreading cheer and teaching children how to be givers of kindness as a way to help lift our own heart. And it's about being proactive and doing things to put joy back into your heart at a time when everything feels so raw. And so speaking of that, tonight we're going to be talking about laughter and the healing modality that it is. Many people don't realize that laughter is an actual healing modality. And there's such a thing. Have you heard of laughter yoga?
Oh, yeah, I have. I have never done it, but I'm not. Oh, yes. So you walk around in a circle. Yes, I did do it once. I actually wasn't too thrilled with it. It seemed
okay.
It seemed very forced to me.
Well, the reason why they say that it works is because fake laughter is just the same as real laughter. Your body can't tell the difference.
Okay.
And so we know that laughter, there's a lot of physical and emotional benefits to laughter. I mean, it's been proven to reduce your blood pressure, actually reduce your blood sugar, and it also releases the chemicals in your brain that fight, colds and infections. And so it helps to reduce stress that way. Also, because it also reduces your cortisol and epinephrine, other stress chemicals in your brain. And so laughter is actually really, really good for you. And the idea behind laughter yoga is that you fake it till you make it. And
yes.
Did that roll off my tongue?
Absolutely. No, that's true.
You fake it till you make it because your body can't tell the difference. And that is very true. For visualization as well as laughter. And so, basically in laughter yoga, it's that breathing, and it's doing kind of a fake laughter with a group. And the truth is that usually once you start doing a fake laughter with people in a group, it's so comical and silly that genuine laughter soon follows.
Right.
But
No, that's true. Yeah, I didn't mean to make it sound like but I did have one experience and it seems strange, but that is true. If you're laughing, the body doesn't know the difference. And people
it
who are,
doesn't, no. And you had a poor experience, and that's unfortunate. But just like anything, there's good instructors and not so good instructors. And I hope that the people who were in your group will try it someplace else. But in the meantime, they can bring you up on YouTube and have a good organic laugh, as well as, if people are struggling, because especially when we're grieving, that's you said it perfectly, is that that's the time when you least feel like laughing. And laughing will help change your perspective, and a good belly laugh will help scatter 100 griefs. And so people can do things that are proactive to help them laugh, and one of those would be looking at funny YouTube videos or watching an I Love Lucy rerun. Anything that can help you laugh. So it doesn't have to be laughter yoga or, fake yoga or what have you. What is a good way, if you are looking for a good laugh, what's your go-to?
My go-to. That's an interesting question. I don't know if I have a go-to. I think I just watch funny things on TV. You know what it is? I think the most, I spend time with my funniest friends, where I can go back and we can kind of exchange funny stories, or just a look of just a funny kind of back and forth. I think hanging out with funny people makes all the difference. But people who are grieving feel guilty sometimes laughing. They don't feel like it's something that they should be doing. They feel like, oh my God, I'm not in. I shouldn't show that I'm laughing. I had a friend tell me about her grandmother, who never wanted to take her picture because without her knowing, because she'd be laughing on nothing. And when she was in a group with everyone take the picture, she would make a face like she was sad, even though the moment before she was laughing, because she thought it was disrespectful to the person who had just died. But that's how a lot of people, I think, feel.
Yeah. And that's very true. It's hard to think of anything other than pain when you're in the midst of pain. Right. And that's why laughter is so important, because it gives your brain a respite from that pain.
But there's always funny things that happen. I remember when I used, when you put in the a year later, a memorial and you put a little picture of the person who passed away. So the first year we put in a picture of Jimmy. Yet next year we put the same picture of Jimmy. The year after we put the same picture of Jimmy. And the fourth year I said, maybe we should put, and I was serious. I really was serious. I said, maybe we should find a more recent picture. And then I realized, oh, right. There is, right. So stupid things like that all the time. I ran into, about 6 months after Jimmy died, I ran into someone that we knew in high school that I always thought had a crush on him. I was holding a candle for him. Is that the expression, holding a candle? Whatever. She always, torch. It's a torch. It's a bigger candle. It's a torch. And she was about 60 or whatever age. She was way into her 50s. She was about our age at the time. And she looked at me, she said, she's engaged. And we just hugged, and I said, you waited till it was absolutely impossible, didn't you? Because she figured, well, maybe he'll leave me. I'm tough to live with. Maybe he'll leave me and he'll, get back to her. But stupid things like that happen. Make you laugh. It's just life. You have to look for the lightness, really.
Yeah, you do. You have to look for things to laugh at. And again, be proactive in it. I mean, who doesn't love I Love Lucy? And of course, I know, younger generations might not even know who she was. But that's what we grew up on as comedy.
Sure.
And the one episode of her stuffing chocolates down her bra, I mean, that will make us all laugh every time. It never gets old. So, but even just going to listen to the sound of laughter, like children in a park. You can also, play a game of apples to apples with friends. That'll get you laughing.
What is that?
And laughter is not a cure for grief. There is no such thing as a cure, but again, it does offer a respite. It gives your brain just that break from the pain, and it's really, really important. But I think, how long after you lost Jimmy did you feel like you finally gave yourself permission to laugh? Because I know exactly what you're talking about. I went through the same thing after we lost Allie. Is, oh my gosh, why am I laughing? Oh, shame on me. I shouldn't be laughing. There's, my world is shattered. And yet at the same time, it's good for us.
Right. I'm trying to think how long. I mean, it wasn't that long because things kept happening. Even at the funeral, silly things kept happening. That I was always aware. I think I was very conscious. I mean, it's different for you with a daughter. I think that's a very different loss. But with a husband, I felt responsible for my children. I wanted them to learn to be, or to know to be resilient. I wanted to give them permission to be not constantly in that dark place. Even at the funeral, we were sitting together, of course. I was in the middle. My son and daughter were on either side of me. And my daughter was very conscious of everybody staring at us because we were in that front row, that first row, of course, that nobody really wants to be in. And I said to them, this is the only time that you don't want the best seats in the house. And they laughed. And they laughed because it was silly. And it wasn't disrespectful. But that there's a fine line. Even the title of my book, Poor Widow Me, I started to call it Widow Me, and a friend of mine who happens to be a comedian said, throw a poor in front of it. Poor Widow Me. It has more of a Elmer Fudd kind of an interesting sound. And I felt that was disrespectful.
Really?
Yeah, for a period of time. Until I asked a few people and they said, oh no, that's a great title.
But I love it. Yeah, it's great.
First I didn't feel it was, like I said, I thought it was disrespectful.
Yeah. Interesting. But of course, back when we're in the raw days, things don't feel as they might otherwise, So it's been 12 years since you lost Jimmy. And I know 3 years ago, you also lost your nephew, who was almost like a Jimmy doppelganger. And Chucky had become your one plus since losing your husband. And so how was that? Was it any different, that loss, compared with losing Jimmy?
It was different I mean, it's just hard to compare. Chucky, for anyone who knew him, he had just turned 50. It was very sudden. He had pancreatitis. We were very close. He was as close to his son as I could have had. And he was very close to his uncle. So we were just, as a family. Well, with Jimmy, of course, as a husband, your whole life is unraveled.
Yes.
Your partner, your children's father. It's such a different feeling. And Chucky was more, he used to stay with me. We used to go places together, my plus one, as you said. But there were so many memories, and I counted on him. And he looked like Jimmy, sounded like him. I mean, it was just like, he was he's irreplaceable. And not to say that Jimmy is replaceable, because he was my husband, he was the love of my life. But I have a boyfriend that I've been with for about 5 years, and he fills the slot of being a couple and being, loving someone and sharing your life. With Chuck, there's no filler.
Yeah.
It's like you could never have a daughter. It's just, and ironically, as much as I laugh about it, I don't think there was anything about Chucky when he died that I could find funny. And it was the first time I realized that maybe that's why people don't laugh about it. Not that I laughed so much about my husband, but just funny things just kept happening. And even my dog, I lost my dog 6 months ago. I love my little Tony.
Tony Baloney. Yeah.
I used to bring him to all the conventions. I mean, he was just my guy. I adopted him when he was 1.5 years, and it was about 1.5 years after Jimmy died. So he was just my guy. I have another dog now, and it was a puppy. As I have a niece, little Frankie. And he's my dog, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's just different. I know I'm going off. Yeah,
That's the thing about loss, is that no two are alike. And even if two people both lost a husband, their journeys are still going to be as unique to them as their thumbprint.
of course.
And, it's hard to describe really, but, what it does to your life. And so, I remember talking to you, it was about a month after Chucky passed, and I could hear the sadness in your voice. But what I also remember is that you were feeling bad for Chucky's mom because
Oh,
you knew what she faced. You knew the journey that laid ahead. And I think that's one of the hardest parts, is that when someone who is in those first few days and weeks of losing someone they love, and those of us who have been on the journey for a while, for us it's a bit of a cringe, like, oh my gosh, I know what they face ahead. They can't possibly know that joy and beauty will come back into the world.
right. Right.
Life 2.0 will be different,
That's
but
right.
it will also be beautiful. You've got your boyfriend Mickey, and he doesn't replace your husband Jimmy, but he does bring joy to your world.
Right, of course. And that makes all the difference. And and he lost his wife when he was very young. He had two daughters who were 5 and 3, so he
Oh
understands
my
that
goodness.
also. So that's very helpful. We talk about each other's spouses. It's not like it's off limits at all. So I think it's very healthy.
I think you're right. There's an understanding there of the heart. You've both been through it, and I think the thing that people need to know as well is that you know um, you can have joy at the same time as sorrow, and you
Absolutely.
will love, when you with a spouse, if you open your heart to the idea of having a companion at some point down the road, you discover that your heart can love again. It's just different.
Right. It's just different, and it's all about resilience, really. Becoming
Yeah.
People can have the same experience, and some people can be really destroyed by it. Other people, they just pick themselves up, and they realize there's life out there. You just have to live. A funny story about Chucky, to combine Chucky and Jimmy in the story. Uh, it was maybe 3 months after Jimmy died, and Chuck would spend a lot of time, at the house, and he was looking at one of the chairs, and he put his hand on the chair and said, "Oh, this is where Uncle Jimmy sat. He sat in this chair. I couldn't pass the chair without him expecting me to give him a back rub. Give me a back rub, Chuck. Chuck, right here, right here." And he said, I didn't always want to do it, and he was so demanding. And now, if I could do it one more time. And I looked at him, and I looked at him. I said, I know how you feel, Chuck. I feel the same way about the blowjobs."
Oh,
Oh, you said well,
Carol.
right. That's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what he did. He did. He cringed. He said, "Oh no!"
Oh
But
my gosh.
I know.
Oh.
Just, but those
It's funny. It's funny. Not gonna lie, it's funny. It's making me
two
laugh,
places,
making me blush a little bit, but making me laugh too. And it probably was the one-liner that Chucky needed at that moment.
I guess so. I guess so. He never let me forget that. He said, "Oh my God, I don't want to hear this because you're like a son."
So speaking of one-liners, don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyway. So you have any good one-liners for our viewers tonight?
Let's see, one-liners. Well, I remember saying to somebody at one point, I'm never going to meet anyone who's going to look at me physically the way Jimmy did, because he got married in 1972. And well, this is not a one liner. Wait a minute. But I'm getting to the one line. The one line is funny, but it's not a one liner. You're right. Um, he'll never look at me the same way, because I think Jimmy has locked in his head how I looked in a bathing suit in 1972. I used to turn heads in a bathing suit. Now I turn stomachs. Very hard getting out there in the real world after that.
It's cute though, and I think that you're right. When we marry our dearly beloved, we still tend to see them through those youthful eyes. At least I do my husband.
How
So
long are you married? How long are you married?
over
Oh,
25 years.
there you
Yeah.
go. You made the 25-year mark. That's a big one. So I could never. I'm too old to be married 25 years anymore. The
You
time
know, he's a keeper. You met him. He's a keeper.
yes, he is. He's adorable. He's
He
adorable.
is. He's adorable. Yeah.
With-
You know, and when he lost his speech in a stroke, I used to tease him, well, you really didn't talk a lot anyway, honey. And when I would say that, people would look at me horrified, like, oh my gosh, what, you know, so insensitive. But it was a joke between us, because he was quiet, unless it was just the two of us or just him and our family. Then he'd be funny. He's pretty good at one-liners. And so it was a good natured tease between us. So, but people look at me like, gosh, what's this woman doing? So I have a joke for you. What's the difference between ignorance and apathy?
Ignorance and apathy. I don't know.
I don't know, and I don't care.
Oh, that's great. Very good.
You're humoring me. I know, because I'm not a comedian. You are. So how about did you hear about the semicolon who broke the law?
The what?
Did you hear about the semicolon who broke the law?
Semicolon who broke the what? You have a little bit of an accent there. Oh, maybe I do.
The semicolon who broke the law.
Law. Broke the law. Oh, no.
He was given 2 sentences.
Oh God! Where do you get these things from?
The internet.
Oh, there you go.
My kids will be the first to tell you that I'm not funny.
Those are grown. You're not funny, but you're so amazing to talk to, because all the things you've done after losing your daughter, I think it's just incredible. I mean, you must look in the mirror and say, I'm pretty okay. I admire you. I'm glad that we met each other. I think what you do for the grieving community is priceless, really. Really,
it really is. But the moment I met you, I just thought I'm very fond of you. So thank you for your kindness. Losing a child is really, there's no words to describe it. And what's really challenging, I think, about loss is that when you do start to find your footing and you start to smile again, you might smile only for 5 seconds and cry the other 23 hours of the day. But if people see you smile, they think you're over it. And the thing about loss is that it's not something you get over. It's something that you learn to live with. It becomes part of you. It becomes part of your tapestry. And I had to fight to find my footing. And so, if you and I can be role models for people, that life can become joyous again after loss, then, that makes my heart happy. So, turning our pain into purpose to benefit other people helps to heal our own heart.
It does.
So, yeah.
Sometimes I would go to weekend conventions and watch the people come in on a Friday and see how their body language was different on a Sunday afternoon, spending 2 nights with people who were been around a little bit longer, have grieved, and know that you can be happy again. And it's like breathing again, like being able to.
We give them hope that they'll be able to breathe without pain.
Yes.
Without emotional pain.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the truth is that it doesn't mean that we forgot about our loved one. I mean, how do you forget? How you were high school sweethearts with Jimmy. You were married for 30 years. How do you forget? You don't forget, but you can go on and enjoy life again. And we will always have those triggers. Those memories that take us back to
always.
Yeah.
Christmas. Yeah. You talk about Christmas coming. Christmas music is big for me. Not the festivities, not the Christmas decorations, but the music. I guess music in general is tough for a lot of people, I think. Right?
Yeah, it is. I was just talking about this the other day, how our daughter Allie loved Amy Grant music. Oh. And there is an Amy Grant album in particular that Allie listened to over the holidays. And oh my gosh, I had those songs memorized because she listened to them so much. And I loved them as well. And it's been 9 years since we lost Ellie, and that remains the one thing that I can't listen to.
Right.
So, yeah. And so, we all have our triggers that we can cope with and some that we can't. And the ones that we can't, we learn to just let that wave of pain, flow over us and know that it will ebb, because it always does. It's kind of like storm clouds. When someone's having a rough time in life and it's raining, it's pouring, and it just feels like the world is crashing down, but it doesn't always stay that way. Exactly. No clouds ever stayed permanent in someone's life. And so you just kind of hold on until, the sun comes out again.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it does.
Of course it does. But you're going to break into song. The sun will come out tomorrow. It's good for people to hear you who have done, that you still have moments when it's difficult for you.
Oh, yeah.
It's very good for people to hear that, because people see you as very together, which of course you are. But when you help people, sometimes people think that the person who's helping doesn't need any help or doesn't feel it in the same way.
Yeah, and I might have it together most of the time, but we're human. And so when we don't have it together, it's okay. I just don't have those on camera. It's, because to me, I'm kind of like one of those wild animals that likes to lick their wounds in private. And so when I have a moment, it's very much in private. It's usually in my bed with the covers pulled over my head. But I can honestly say that I don't have those moments nearly as often as I did. And the truth is, way back when we lost Ellie, I didn't believe that I would ever have a pain-free moment at that time. And now, 90% of the time, my world, I feel very blessed and grateful for, the beauty and joy that I do have in my world. So, I might have it together, but just like anyone else, I don't have it together all the time. So, and that is just life. That is just how it goes. So, but I appreciate you sharing your story, Carol, because, hearing about Jimmy, and you guys were married for 30 years, high school sweethearts, and your book was just fantastic. And so what do you have on the plate now, or what about in the future? Do you have any gigs coming up? Anything exciting? Any new movies?
Well, right now I'm working on Poetry as a play. It's a book now. It was from a blog. That helped me too. Just writing the blog, that first year and a half, because you forget. But I'm writing it as a play, possibly with music, not a musical, but with music, maybe 6-7 songs.
Wow, that's amazing.
What they call a two-hander, not a one-woman show, 2 people.
Okay.
A little bit different. With somebody that kind of acts out what I'm talking about. It's funny. It's very funny. It's very.
I would imagine. And so, when will that be done?
Right as soon as we hang up, I'm going to be finishing it. No, probably a couple months. So. And
so, will it be something that people in New York City can go see, or will it be nationwide, or?
Well, we have to see. I have to talk to people, but I'm thinking off Broadway, and it's exciting. It's exciting to stay busy.
Yeah. Giving yourself a reason to get out of bed is very important. Yes. And if you can do that, within the first few years, find a way to do that, and eventually becomes effortless.
Right.
And so, staying busy and doing things, especially creative things, tapping into your natural talent to produce creative things is fantastic. Yeah, so good for you. Good for you. So, what's that?
Writing a book of essays as well. Essays, not necessarily, the death thing somehow gets a little bit, you want to talk about other things besides grieving. So I'm writing some fun incidences that have happened over the years. Always personal essays. They say if you have your 10,000 hours of doing something, you can do it sort of okay. Right?
Yep. So I think I heard only part of that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to, so we're live on camera, so I'm going to pretend that I heard all of that. Do you want to repeat it for me? You cut out on me at the first time.
Malcolm Gladwell says if you do something for 10,000 hours, then you've got it down pretty good. And if you're Michael Jordan, then you're a superstar. If you can, So I'm saying I've been writing these essays for at least 10,000 hours in my life. So hopefully there's something. Oh, that's Frankie. Hopefully something great will come of them.
Is that your new doggy?
That's a new dog. He's right at my feet, right here, Frankie.
Oh,
great.
And what kind of dog is he?
The Havanese.
Oh, okay.
Should I show him to the crowd? You want to come up and see everybody, Frank? No, he's just laying on my feet. He doesn't want to get up. He doesn't
want to get up? He says it's too late. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I want to say, when you wrote your blog after losing Jimmy, that became your book, Poor Widow Me. Isn't that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And viewers can find your book anywhere. They can find it Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, around the world. But where can they reach you if they want to reach out to you, invite you to headline something? Where can they find you?
poorwidowme.com or carolschibelli.com. That's where they could write to me at carolschibelli@gmail.com, CarolScibelli at gmail. It's nice to hear from people.
It is. And so my final question to you, Carol, is what is your definition of hope?
Oh boy, hope. I guess looking ahead and thinking about that things don't happen to you, they happen for you. I heard that recently. And that things are meant to happen. So there's that is hope, not to you, for you. So people, why did he die on me? He didn't die on you. And maybe there are things like good things that happen because of negative things. And I guess that's hope. Hoping that the negative will turn into a positive in some ways. And not always looking at the dark side, looking at the lighter side.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. And best of luck to you on finishing this next play. How cool is that? And keep us posted. Let us know when it comes out. Especially, as a comedy, we all need a good laugh. And you're fantastic at delivering laughs. And so thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's good to see you, Carol. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.